here, disease X, or am I on to your section here, Debbie?
Yes, that's me. Yes, and once again, we're looking for disease X, and we know that Bill Gates is very keen to look for any germs with his germ hunters, and the WEF are still looking for disease X. And with that in mind, the President, Joe Biden, has launched a new Office of Pandemic Preparedness. So we now have to live with COVID. This is, we're going to stand down all the COVID departments, and now we're going to have a permanent office. So this permanent office is now being created to coordinate and implement actions with if there are any biological threats or pathogens that affect the USA. So who's leading this? Well, the president has rolled out a retired general. This is, Alex, is that Friedrich there?
Friedrich.
You'll have to correct me on my pronunciation, Major General Paul Friedrich. It's interesting, his mum was a Hungarian freedom fighter and his grandparents were killed by the Russians. So he's going to be in charge of this new office because now we are obviously in danger of a pandemic. I would like to say at this point too that there are a couple of stories around at the moment. There's a case of MERS that's broken out in Abu Dhabi, and the WHO are on that. And there's also an outbreak of dengue in Egypt, and the WHO are very keen to be running a webinar on dengue. So staying on health, I just want to come back to the NHS's description of bronchiolitis. Now, bronchiolitis is caused by this respiratory syncytial virus. And we know that many children are appearing to get fairly severe cases of respiratory syncytial virus. Whether or not this is associated to mum having had the vaccine, we're not quite sure, but this is very common. We called it in my day bronchiolitis. It's very common. Most children by the age of 2 will have had it, and most make an unremarkable recovery, which is good in medical jargon. And my kids, we used to take them up to the bathroom, steam them, and in severe cases, they might have needed a nebulizer, but all got better, thank goodness. However, AstraZeneca have been very busy partnering with Sanofi. Now, this to me is extremely concerning. I want you to just notice that this is called Beyfortus. It's called Beyfortus, has been approved in the US for the prevention of RSV, lower respiratory tract disease infection. Now, this is not a vaccine. This is a preventative injection. But I've been saying for a very long time, we need to check the active ingredients. So this product, which is marketed as Beyfortus, is actually a monoclonal antibody. And I can't even pronounce the name. They like to have the name so that it's very difficult to pronounce, but it's Navuzmab. If you just go back to the previous slide for 2 seconds, it'll say that there at the bottom, not the NHS one, the next one with the details of Beyfortus. That's it. Thank you. So it's already been approved in the European Union. Now, this has just been approved by the FDA, which we'll come to in a minute. But you can see it's the first preventative option approved to protect a broad infant population, including those born healthy at term or preterm or with specific health conditions. Now, these children are going to be getting this injection regardless of whether they're sick, whether they're healthy. And if they're being born at an RSV season, which is autumn or winter, then they will get this injection of a monoclonal antibody that has, as we'll see, has gone through very little clinical testing. And I'm going to be speaking hopefully to a pediatrician soon. So here's the announcement from the US FDA to say that they've approved this new drug to prevent RSV in babies and toddlers. Now, we've spoken before about the FDA will be giving approvals, and those approvals will be used in the United Kingdom in the early 2024. So we could be getting it in the UK. If you look at the clinical trials for this product from AstraZeneca, you can see it says no results found. This is an investigative product. There's another screenshot of another phase of the clinical trial as well. And this clearly says this is an investigative product This is still under clinical trial. So I just want parents to be aware of what might be sneaked into their child's vaccination program, or as a newborn baby, are they receiving a monoclonal antibody for a condition that they don't need to have it? So that's my warning for parents.
Okay, Debbie, thank you very much for that. Well, staying on matters to do with, I was going to say health, but that's probably